Welcome, everybody. We are at the shop with Kyle Reinhardt, checking in a little bit on the off-season here to see what's going on, and the season's approaching quickly, so thought we'd check in and see how things have been going since World Finals ended, and the team has been pulling everything apart and putting it all back together. So, Kyle, let's look back on 2021 real quick for a minute. First year out on the road with the All-Stars, 8th place driver standings, pretty good season, 1 win, some top finishes, some struggles, pretty much what you'd expect, I guess. But when you look back on it now after a couple months, what's your assessment of last year?
I think initially a lot of disappointment. We had a lot higher hopes than 8th place in points, and we had a lot of struggles night in and night out, and I think we're just looking to cut those out. I think we knew it was going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. So I think at the end of the day, we don't have anything to really hold our heads down about. Getting a win was huge. And we had a couple of pretty good runs, but we remember the bad ones.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and unfortunately you do, I'm sure. The fans remember the wins, the drivers remember the tough nights. So talk a little bit about the life on the road, the part of like the logistics and the, finding places to work and to sleep and to keep parts in the truck and all the challenges of that, because you've never faced that kind of pace before. So what, how did that go, and did you learn some things that you'll move forward differently?
Sure. The pace, I think, like you said, is just a lot different than racing weekly. You're driving, and it seems like there's a lot more travel involved, even night to night. We'd be at places like in Missouri and Kansas and stuff, and have to drive. You race all night, drive 4 or 5 hours. You have to wash, get a couple hours of sleep, and then you just keep rolling. And every night it just continues. So that was a lot different. I think it helped, having full-time crew guys, which I've never had before. That was, you couldn't do it without that right now. There's too much racing to try and have a job. I know there are some guys that do, but I know it's tough. So just having that and being set up right, and we had some help getting prepared to know what we needed and stuff that I didn't really think about, never being on the road before. So, using that knowledge from other people and having a crew chief and all that. And that was huge to prepare us to get on the road.
Yeah, sure. I imagine. And, I'm sure the second year will go even smoother. You probably learned and apply that as this year goes by. But, I know that just even getting up and down the road, if things go well and you can put the car and the trailer in one piece, and it is challenging enough. But I'm sure that, when you break something, you get in a crash, something like that, you're dreading that night. Right? So then what was this off season like? So in preparation, I'm sure obviously there's the cars and all that, and you can talk a little bit about that. But were there other preparations, for that travel aspect and stocking up and being prepared that you did differently this winter than you did previously?
Yeah, I think, for a team just racing weekly, we have to focus a lot more on our truck and trailer, just putting the miles on it. So, servicing the truck, getting, just stupid things like, we blew a windshield out at the end of the year. We had to get a new windshield put in it. Being with the Capital Renegade team, we use a demo trailer every year. So, the one we use gets sold, so we have to empty that out and relay out a new trailer every year. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but it helps us be more prepared, because we figured out things that would make us better prepared and organized on the road. So we change those things in our new trailer, and then we'll be set up better to get on the road. That's
a good example. I think that people probably don't think about it as much. They know you're refreshing the cars and doing all those things, but there is an awful lot more in the trailer, just all the logistics of everything, I'm sure. And making arrangements with, I know sometimes you use other folks' shops when you're on the road, those kind of things. So that helps. But so this year's schedule pretty much like last year, the All-Star Tour, and then some other things, big shows and stuff in maybe Pennsylvania or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, with this off season, people just coming out of COVID and stuff, and it kind of, certain things get held up longer. It seems like with the whole supply chain deal. So we knew it was going to be tough for us to get to Florida. So we actually just planned on not going to Florida or Georgia. They're non-points races for the All-Stars. So that was different from last year. We went down south last year. So we decided to just scratch that. That was pretty early in the winter. We figured that we weren't going to go there. And then, we're just still getting stuff ready. We have 2 cars ready to go. We're still waiting on 2 more cars to come in. There's a lot of little things that would hold you up. So we're okay with engines right now. We have a couple engines waiting to come back. Just a lot of things that would hold us back. So we decided to just wait till March to race. We'll be prepared, ready to go. We're going to go out mid-March and race a couple PA races. But with engines, you can't hurt an engine and get it fixed as readily and quick as you could in previous years. So I'm trying to be smart about that and how much we race before our All-Star season starts.
You're not the first person I've heard say that their resources are always important, but this year they're really important. Because while the thinking traditionally has been, let's get down to Florida and get some laps and shake off the rust, learn to work together, all that stuff. This year I can't afford to break any parts, or I'm going to be waiting, or I'm going to be using, used parts or whatever I got to do to get back out there, but I'm not going to be where I want to be with the team. So that's so one goal obviously for the year is just to be prepared and be able to be there and show up and be competitive, not just be there. But so coming out of the last year and maybe fell a little short of where your ideals were, but what kind of goals do you have going into this year? And not just I want to hear about wins, points, whatever those kind of things are, but also like the goals of if you have any of like the way you're going to operate up and down the road that you think will make you better. I mean, you've already talked about being better prepared, but that doesn't stop when the season starts. That's all year, right? So maybe you learn some things about how you'll manage the team through the year too, that are goals for you to do better. So
yeah, I mean, obviously first and foremost you want to win races. We only won a single race last year. Goal number 1 is to win multiple races this coming season. I think I'd like to win multiple races and have a top 5 in points. I think that's realistic for what we've got going on and where we're coming from. I think that's a realistic goal for us to get a top 5 in points. That would be huge and a big step for us. So that's pretty much the 2 main goals. And then like you said, just not necessarily that they're goals, but just knowing that we've done it before and going up and down the road and knowing where we can stay at and where we can stop at and where we can eat at. And it's just all things that hopefully will just make our year flow better.
Yeah, that makes sense. So switching gears a little bit, one of the pieces of information that came out a few month ago or so, hey Murph, we've got a guest here. Hey Murphy, say hi to everybody. Got to have a shop dog, right? So the World of Outlaws announced that they're going to require onboard extinguisher systems next year. And that got a lot of conversation started about safety things and so forth. And I know that, a few years back you had the back injury with Flip here at Lincoln. And so just curious about your opinion on safety items, not necessarily a commentary on what is in place or what isn't, but just maybe some opportunities you see as a driver.
Yeah, I think that's a big can of worms to open up, but sure. Sprint cars are inherently dangerous, right? So there's a lot of things I think that can be improved on. Sometimes things just happen. Like when I got hurt, it was just one of them things. Like, I think I had great safety equipment, and a couple things could have been different. Would that have changed anything? I don't know. There's really no way to know. We don't have data and information like that on these cars, so it's kind of just your best guess. But I think there's nothing wrong with fire extinguishers and all that sort of stuff, because we're the only top level of racing that don't have stuff like that. Yeah. I think it's a little different for an open cockpit car versus a closed cockpit car. So I'm not going to say if it's right or wrong or what, but there's a lot of things that are, done retroactively instead of proactively. So hopefully that's something that's changed before something happens. However, there's a lot of things I think that can be not necessarily improved upon, but checked more closely. Yeah. Each car is different. Everybody fits different in their car. There's a lot of different things to change and just for driver safety and fitment. So I think there's a lot of things like that need to be looked at closer, like seat belts and seat mounting. For one, they have rules on the seats themselves, and the seat belts have somewhat of a rule, but installation doesn't, and that's a huge thing I think that can be improved on.
I've heard other folks talk about that, and just the correct mounting of the seat and the belts is vital. And sometimes guys who just come into the sport who haven't maybe done it before or don't have the expertise don't get that quite right, and it can make a difference. So I think there's some basic things out there, I think is what you're saying. It doesn't necessarily need to cost anybody any money, just doing things right. Sure. That need to be executed. But no, it's good thought, and you're right. It's a big can of worms. There's a lot of opinions and a lot of and not enough data to support it. So unfortunately, sometimes you're learning through the hard way. Yeah. So, yeah. But
at the same time, you have guys that have everything in correct and the best of the best equipment and safety equipment, and you still can get hurt. So I think I think some of the sanctioning bodies and tracks are worried more of a liability sense, because if they say this is the way you're supposed to do it and somebody still gets hurt, then they're in trouble.
It's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of factors in today's world, and in whether you're at the racetrack or away from the racetrack. So. All right, well, let's switch gears again. Let's talk about, you got a lot of people involved. Capital's been with you a long time. Champion has been with you recently. Let's talk about some of the folks who are returning, or any partners news you've got for this year. Who's going to be helping you out, and thank some of those folks. I know they need the recognition, and we got to get our folks out there to follow along and support these people through the year who are making all this possible for your team and all the others that are out there.
Yeah, obviously, sponsorships and marketing partners and all that are a huge part of racing, not just sprint car racing. We wouldn't be able to do it at the level that we do it at right now with the people that are involved and behind this 91 car. Jeff McCall is a huge part of our deal. Wayne Quackenbush with Capital, Renegade, and trailers. And then, I'm very excited and happy to say that all of our sponsors from last year are returning with us to support our second season with the All-Stars, and a couple of them stepped up to give a little more and do more with us, and but it makes sense for them too, so it's a two-way street, the sponsorship is, and marketing partners, because the money is a lot different now. People aren't just writing huge checks just to say thanks. Yeah. They've got to get something out of it. Absolutely. And fortunately for us, we've teamed up with Capital and Champion and everybody. It is a two-way street for both of us on each partnership we have. So that's huge, and I think it's good for us and our team, and has potential to grow as we move forward. So, there are certain businesses that marketing to race fans may not be a fit for their business or company or whatever. So, Capital obviously sells trailers to race teams, and it works great for them to be at the track with us. And it's their car too, so it works both ways. And then Champion, they provide a great product and a well product, and a lot of people use it. And So we're hopefully going to help them push it a little harder.
Very good. No, that's great. Yeah, when you've got everybody coming back and even stepping up, that shows they're excited about what you're doing and that things are going the right way, and they believe in you, and that you are doing that two-way street with them, which I think is a big point. We've talked about that before. There's, the days of writing a check are over. It's something where you've got to help that partner, and they help you, and we'll do some things this year through A2D to help these guys out and make sure that they're out there and getting the recognition and the support for what they're doing for you. You're looks like you got a couple here that aren't too far away from ready, and I know you mentioned mid-March here or so. Maybe you'll get out in Pennsylvania. I won't try to pin you down on exactly what those will be. I know that's probably fluid week to week, but do you have an idea where you might show up first?
Yeah, so we're on our schedule to actually go test in North Carolina in a couple weeks. That's kind of our game plan. We'll finish up our trailer, finish up a couple pieces on this first car here, and go test for a day or two, and then hopefully our plan is to race March 18th at the Grove for our first night. Probably just going to race those 2 weekends, and then the All-Star season starts pretty early in April. So
yeah, April 8th at Attica, I believe. So first points race. So all right, well, listen, appreciate you taking the time, and we'll get some information out to some folks throughout the season. Folks, make sure you follow Kyle Reinhardt on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. He's out there. You can also follow us, addictedtodirtpr.com, and all of our social media, where we'll be telling you all about what's going on with Kyle. And long haul about to get started, and all the way to November. So looking forward to seeing how it goes this year, and meeting those goals. So all right, thanks everybody.